Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Hope Shot Live Wednesday night. Hold on, let me just put some. I gotta mute
Some
y'all.
mutage.
Yeah, hold on one second. Get some back. Yeah, you know what I mean. Welcome back to tonight. It's Wednesday night. It is Addiction to Success series where we're gonna have Lindsey share her story on her recovery journey from active addiction. First, I'm gonna have Lisa read the clarity statement real quick.
Okay, 1 second. It's right here. Okay. Hey, everybody. We here at the Hope Shot are a group of people in recovery spreading inspiration. We come from all different walks of life and pathways of recovery. Our verbiage may be different, but we all have one thing in common: recovery as a lifestyle. We support all pathways of recovery. It doesn't matter how you get from A to Z, just get there. Thank you for being a part of our family.
Thank you, Lisa.
Mhm.
So guys, if you're just jumping on, say what's up, let us know you're here. Also, do us a favor real quick. It takes 2 seconds. Hit that share button, share it out there. You never know who might need to hear this tonight, hear Lindsey's story. That really needs some hope tonight. So please hit that share button. It only takes a second. It's the best way you can support us. We got a few people on here. What's up, Teresa? We got Teresa on here. We got Dustin. What's up, Dustin? Katie. What's up, Sherry? What's up, Mike? We got Joe. What's up, Joe? And I think Sherry. I think you know Sherry. um, and then we got Lisa. What's up, Lisa? We got Allie, and that's it for right now. Guys, real quick, I'm gonna have Johnny. Right, we're gonna have Johnny introduce Lindsey. So,
Hey, what's up, family? So yeah, I think we agreed that I was gonna say something and Lisa was gonna say something, but okay. So let's see. I I came, I mean most of you know, but I came to Ocala in 2012, probably 5 months out of prison, broken, and I went into a treatment center, and that's where I met Lindsey. And me and Lindsey, since I've been in Ocala 10 years now, so I've got to, we've got to experience this life together, the ups and the downs. We joke a lot about this thing, right? Because when we're out there and we're running the streets and we're addicted and we're like, we're just living that life, man, and we're ripping and robbing and things are bad. And we used to joke about this thing where like we'd say, as soon as like we thought were living in a rap video, we were thugging and we were selling dope, and that so was not the case. But that's the delusion we were under together, and we vibed right away. She's like a sister to me, and still to this day, one of the closest people in my life. And we have both experienced recovery and went back out. We even got high together at one point. And we both had some struggles with me with the girls, her with the boys. And we paid dearly for that stuff until we were ready to come and get clean and do this work, and I've watched her grow immensely, man. And I've grown immensely alongside of her too, man. So I love you, Linz, and you're going to kill it. And I'm going to pass it over to Lisa so she can say something.
unmute yourself, Lisa, before.
Sorry. Lindsey, I have known you. You were actually, I think, out when I came. I'm pretty sure in 2016. But I heard about you. And I remember like Johnny telling me stories about you, and I was like, who is this girl? And I remember wanting to meet you, and finally you came back, and I heard some like funny stories, and I'm sure we'll hear about them. And then I really got to know you, and I got to know like who you really were, and I understood why Johnny was so close to you. I have watched you become this woman, like grow from this like thug girl to this incredible woman. Like you just like bring so much like happiness. Like when I think of it, you help so many women and from when you lived here all the way from when you and Billy like made that leap and moved away, like, wow, you guys did that, you know, and you're successful in so many different ways, not just with work and all that, but just in life. And like, and to watch you guys grow into like the family that you are and be a mom and get your kids back. And it's just like, wow, you know, and I'm so grateful that you are like a sister to me. And I just can't wait to hear you. So I love you. Okay.
Is this where I am?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead, sorry.
Sounds really staticky, but I'm gonna go ahead.
Once it's just back chatter. Once we turn everybody's off, we're good to go.
Okay. All right. All right. So I am a alcoholic and a drug addict. I guess that's known if I'm on here talking, right? And when I say that, I don't say it like mildly. I don't think that there's anything from 2017 before that, right, time frame. I don't know that there's anything that I haven't been really strung out on. If they've made something new, I probably haven't done it since then. But like, and I mean chemically dependent on the stuff, like where like my life depended on getting up to get it, man. And a little bit of my background of how I grew up is like it's still not okay that I'm sober, like not completely sober. My people would take me at like being able to get messed up. Like that's what they do, man. My whole life was involved around drugs and money. I grew up that way. There was some times growing up, like my dad was in and out of prison for and hey man, it's really actually pretty legal these days, but he was in and out of prison for selling like a lot of weed, right? So like that was my experience of a dad growing up, right? He'd come home, he'd hit these major licks and he'd be gone for 3 to 5, you know? And that happened from the time I think I was 3. And so life started out really good, right? And I didn't even know it. Like my parents had me involved in all this stuff, ballet and all of that stuff because they had all this money, right? And then he got caught when I was like, I remember my first childhood memory is my 2-story house getting raided, right? Like, and we had like this balcony and stuff, so it looked really crazy, right? I was probably 3 and a half, and they came in like ninjas, dude, over weed. It's just crazy to me now, like that's really actually what it was. I'm not downplaying it, right? But I'm just saying that's what it was. There wasn't no there was lots of it, but there wasn't no heavy narcotics, man. And they came in, and that's my first childhood memory of watching them take my dad off. So to say that for a very long time I had deep resentment against law enforcement, that started that day, right? Because what it looked like to that 3.5-year-old kid, right, was that they came in and they destroyed my life, you know, and we had it so good. And so just to say that and throw that in the background, you know. And my mom is a admitting alcoholic. Actually, about 15 minutes before we started this tonight, she got hauled off in the ambulance, man, because she overtakes her medicine. And she's 67 and she's still doing that, and she's still doing that life. And that's how I grew up, man. That's how I grew up. That's honestly how I grew up. I did watch my dad though. He would get in these reentry programs, and I'm really for him because of watching my dad, right? I've watched him go to detox, and when he get out of prison, man, he'd go into these programs, and he'd go into like NACA when it started and all these different things, right? And he'd get real good. He'd get real good at his workplace. He'd get real good at life. He'd clean up. He'd look so good, and he'd be hanging with these good people, right? I didn't know who they were or what they were, right? I do now, right? I didn't know until I got sober the first time that's what I was actually happening. But when he wasn't, he was a biker, man. And he was like, my parents had me at a Hell's Angel convention, was my first convention. It wasn't an AA convention or NA, it was a Hell's Angel convention. Is the first, you know, that's the type of way I grew up. I remember not long ago, my mom looked at one of the girls that I mentor in recovery, and she's like, yeah, we chased hurricanes on the motorcycle like it was just nothing. And this girl didn't grow up like that. And she's like, do you know what your mom just said to me? And I'm like, yeah, that's shit. And it blew her mind. And I'm like, oh, maybe it would blow your mind if you kind of grew up like, didn't grow up like that. But that was really, so that's my parents, man. That's my story about that. I had a lot of hope though, because I had a big brother. And I always like to make sure that I share about him because he's dead from this disease at 22, man. And he had got out there, man, and he had decided he was going to do something different. He wasn't going to do what all the bikers and all the drugs and all that stuff. He went off, he went to school, man, and he came from the same place I came from. We had a fatal car accident drinking and driving one night, and he didn't make it home, right? And I was 6 days before my birthday, and whatever hope that I had in like a future of having anything different from the lifestyle that I was growing up around, right, crashed that day when he died, right? And I was a little kid. I was like 6 days before my 11th birthday. Man, I didn't know how to deal with that kind of grief and that kind of pain, and nobody around me did either. So I'm pretty sure I ended up at the card table because my people play cards, right? They're gamblers. They're like that kind of stuff too. And there's always drinking, right? Everybody's always drinking, and not just a little. I mean, it would be alcoholically now, me knowing what I know. But and I got up there and I started playing cards with them and drinking, man. And I remember that run lasted until like I was 15, man, and my dad finally seen that it was a problem. Like, I've been on this ecstasy run, and I've been like to 150 raves, and I was bugged out of my gore, right? No, they couldn't like feed me and get me to calm down or anything. And I'm 15, and I probably don't weigh like 101 pounds, right? And my dad really seen a problem with it because he had been sober and shit, you know. I didn't know that, but that's what had happened a few times, you know. And he told me he was taking me to detox, and he took me to detox when I was 15, and he's in there telling these people about how I got this major problem with drugs and everything. And I'm kind of like, but I'm sworn to secrecy because I've been raised by this code where you don't do that. You don't talk about what happens at home. So like, I'm hearing him like rapping out on me into the dang counselors and shit, and knowing what he's doing at home. Like, and I'm like, this is crazy. He's in here like trying to get me sober, and he's out in the world promoting something different, you know? So it was all bullshit to me, right? From that day, like I didn't take anything serious. I know I ended up in a meeting in there, and it was an older lady. I can tell that now, reflecting back, that she kind of maybe had some recovery time, but she didn't have anything I wanted at that time, man. She had like this little schoolgirl kind of older woman look and stuff, and that's not where I was headed, man. It didn't interest me not one bit, you know. And so I got out and I kept doing the same things, man, and the drugs just changed along the way, right? I remember I started the ecstasy thing. That lasted for as long as it could. As long as I could do it. As much acid and all of that stuff as I could do, possibly. And for some reason, there was some hard drugs that I picked up along the way. And I want to say that was like in and out of 13 to 15. But by the time I was 16, man, I got really bad on cocaine. And I'm glad I can talk about this in actual words, you know. Started, you know, but it looked so different than what was actually happening. What looked like I was like, you know, Scarface's old lady, you know, that was the picture that I was painting as I'm snorting all this stuff, burning my nose out. I remember by the time I was 18, my daughter's father, who I didn't have a kid with yet, because I got to give myself credit too, man. My family, they were always involved in business too. Like my parents owned this small jewelry store, and I started selling not only illegal stuff, I started selling jewelry and stuff when I was a kid, man. And thank God for that, because I think that that's where I spent some of my time that kept me alive a little longer, you know, because I had a real interest there and I wanted to be there, right? So something would draw me away from the drugs for a little while. But the cocaine and the guys were pretty much those kind of guys too, you know. They were the man. But they weren't really, now that I know what I know. It's such BS what we sell ourselves to continue on, man. Um, and I know I'm going in between honesty and reflection, but that's how what I have to do. I got to keep it real for me. I can't go back into that frame of thinking that that shit's cool or ever was all really all right. Was there times that I had a shit ton of fun? That person did, and that person's perspective had a lot of fun, right? Because I could deal with the low and think that this was a big high. But now I just think it's all douchebaggery, right? I think that, oh my God, what was I doing with him? Why didn't my friends tell me? But they did. And I just got new friends, you know, and they tell me, and I'd be like, yeah, no. I think one of my childhood friends is on here too, so that helps keep it honest. And yeah, so man, the cocaine, it picked up, man, and it picked up heavy. And it was pretty much it took place of everything else. Like everybody else was still smoking weed and, you know, drinking here and there and doing functional things. And like I was working and doing cocaine, and like that was it. Those were my activities, you know. And it grew into something that I never thought I'd ever be, because I could remember taking my dad to detox one especially time, and I've never taken anybody to detox that ever said anything better to me. He borrowed my piggy bank money, right, when I was 8, and he started shotgunning some beers, right, and he told us that we were taking him to detox, right, and me and my sister are like, what's detox, Dad? And he's like, it's the Forgive Me Hotel. Take me to the Forgive Me Hotel. And I still have done a lot of detox runs, and I have never heard anybody say anything better than that shit, you know? And so, anyway, and so the cocaine, it just kept coming, man, and it kept. I got some cousins, man, and I ain't gonna throw them out there, but one of them's not here because of this. He was running from the cops, man, and he was heavy, and I could mess things up and he'd clean them up for me, because he did have a little bit of weight and a little bit of a name out there, you know, in that kind of world. And I could mess it up and come back with no money or no nothing, and he'd be like, it's all right, cuz I'll fix it for you, you know. And it just made my addiction worse, you know. But he didn't know that's what he was doing. He was trying to protect me in a dangerous world, and I really do believe that today, you know. But there's no protecting a person like me, you know, when I'm out there, you know. It's just cause I did it again, you know. That was the story. And so I remember that it finally got desperate enough when I was 24. It was my 24th birthday. My dad took me out, and I was really, really skinny at the time. And at the time I picked up pills during this, right, to weigh out the stuff, you know. My mom's always been on pills since I can remember, and she'd give them to me here and there, man, to help me come down from the cocaine and shit. And then I started taking them regularly. I had some health issues and stuff, and that helped me get a script, right? And I remember, like, there's shit that happened to me that's I know, because I have kids and I'm raising kids, that I would never do, right? My dad, I remember I got this like pretty good sized script of lore tabs, and I was probably like 15. And he was like, you're going to be allowed to take this many, and we're going to sell these, and I give you the money. Like, shit like that started happening. Like, and there was always that background noise of like selling pills and selling weed, and in my like with my mom and dad, man. From the time I was 15 on, I got permission to sit at the table, man. I got permission to do that kind of stuff. And I'm not glorifying it. I'm just saying, because I really think it was just keeping up with a habit in a household is really what they were doing, you know. My dad seemed to pull off a little bit bigger things here and there, because that's just who he was. And that's the truth, you know. And yeah, but my mom, she ain't never been able to just do nothing but maintain, and she's happy there. And anyway, so I picked up crack, man, somewhere in the mix. I don't even know. There was a dude, I remember, it didn't look so bad on this person that was smoking it, and I was actually selling it to him, right? So I thought that all the bullshit that I've been through my entire life, taking my dad, watching him have to make amends to people for ripping him off, for, you know, smoking dope, beating on the windows in the middle of the night, asking us for money. I thought all that shit was bullshit, right? Because I seen this dude that got it from me that seemed to have his shit together, right? And well, so I tried. I was drunk as shit too. I'll never forget it. I was drunk as shit because alcohol gives me permission to try any fucking thing, you know? I'm drunk. I can try it. This is okay. It's not going to be so bad. Even if it is, I'm drunk, you know? So I'm like, and I did, man, and I didn't know it. I was off to the races, dude. I was off to the races and far gone that instant. Like, I hear people say that they didn't do it right the first time. Well, I wish that would have been the case, because I hit that motherfucker just right. Because it was, oh my God, within a month, I remember I was hiding in the bushes from this big, dangerous dope boy that I knew would, you know, put the hurting on me. And I robbed him, and I knew, and I'm like directly across the street from him, know that there's no way avoiding this contact, right? But, and I'm like, I'm hiding in the bushes only a month in, you know? And it pretty much went like that, dude. It pretty much went like that. And if I tell it any other way, it was like that. I just, because of my family and all of that stuff, and the way we grew up and the things that were around and the people, man, people would like, they'd let me back in, you know, and I burn them too, you know, I mean, in that world. And I didn't care either. I mean, not as far as it went at the end, but I didn't really give a shit if I could make it right just so I could get back in, you know. There was a lot of that going on, and it wasn't because I was a horrible person, man. It was because I had a horrible habit, you know, a horrible habit, and it continued on. I started smoking crack, and I did what most crackheads do, any fucking thing, you know, whatever, you know. And I finally started getting in some real consequences, though. I had been arrested when I was 18, but it wasn't a big thing. My dad helped me get an attorney, bondsman, all of that. So I didn't suffer any real consequences there. But I started getting in where they were, you know, charging me for selling pills and all kinds of crazy shit that probably wasn't even really happening. It was really just like trying to make a move so I could make another move, you know? It wasn't like I was the person that they were saying on the paperwork, right? And finally, I got in enough trouble though. I got sales and possession of all kinds of pills, manufacturing methamphetamine, because I decided that was a different route, right? I tried something different. and I was 23 at the time, and I'd met my first sugar daddy too. And I figured this was a win-win situation, right? He needed somebody and I needed an attorney. So how that ended was I was 23 years old, man, and I was definitely facing, they told me 25, right? And they were pretty much holding to it because of my family and all of that stuff there in Lake County, Florida. And I told him, man, I need this attorney, and he did. He dropped 15 stacks to get me that attorney, and I married him in my criminal defense attorney's office. No shit, that's where I got married at 23 years old, in my criminal defense attorney's office. I figured it was a win-win for everybody. I got to stay out, you know. But what happened was, he was a successful man, right? And I can say that about him. I married him, you know, and he kept trying to save me, man. He did. He was a good person at heart. He was a hard worker, and he was a hustler, legal hustler too, which is a whole different ball game, because he ain't like losing the stacks and fucking his whole world up, right? He's like gonna be able to get back out there and get some more. And he did, man, again and again and again. I will say that man's part of the reason I'm alive today. I know that to be for sure, because he's the one that got me in treatment. He's seen it necessary for me to get some help, man. And I'm so glad that he did. I'm so glad that he didn't sign off on me like he should have, because I did, you know, everything that you shouldn't do in a relationship. I didn't come home. I didn't, you know, answer his calls. I took money that was supposed to be for our house and spent it on drugs, you know. Slept with other dudes, let him catch me at that shit, you know, everything that you ain't supposed to do, man. And he still, man, found it necessary for me to get some help, and I'm real grateful for that. He stood up in front of the judge who had sentenced most of my family, man, and he told him that I really needed some help, and I know that if it wouldn't have been for him being a decent human being and known in the community, because he was pretty well known in Marion County where I was being sentenced at, and judge said I'm gonna send her to I was so pissed off too. I remember it because I had already made the deal in my head, right? The deal in your head. And I'd already decided that I was going to prison, right? And I'd already counted off the days that I was like going to get out and get high, you know? So this interrupted my trip, you know? Because they were like, you're either going to do such and such or you're going to treatment. And I'm like, fuck, that's way more time than I planned, you know? I guess I'd give this treatment a try, right? And I did, man, and I'm so grateful I did, because there was somebody out there that I don't know that if there would have been any other person that they could have chipped into what was happening to me right then. And I'm super grateful for him. He'll forever be my favorite tech when he was one. Because nobody else could talk to me and be serious. Like, I didn't even believe that I was an alcoholic. I remember having this conversation with him, and him like being just so floored that I'm like, why is this dude so shocked that think that I'm not an alcoholic? I'm not an alcoholic. And he like started explaining to me my storyline and where I was at, because I was so far from reality, man. I was so far from reality. I showed up there in shackles thinking I was just going to do this thing, you know, just like it was a jail sentence, you know. And this little redheaded lady, she seen that I had an eye for the dudes. She come out there and told me, that shit ain't happening here, you know, immediately. She's like, you can get back on the paddy wagon. And I'm like, oh, man. So people started checking me, and nobody had checked me that I had any respect for. I think was something that happened different, that I finally had some respect for people, man. These people, not all people, but like I said, that guy, man, he spoke my language, and I couldn't BS him. Like, I was getting all this stuff brought in, and he told me about myself and about that, and about how I was still manipulating people and still running the show. And I was like, what? I'm just getting stuff brought in. Like, I need this stuff, you know? Because my very character depended on that stuff, man. And depended on what shirt I was wearing, what shoes I was wearing. Because I had nothing inside, man. And I didn't know that I had nothing inside at the time, you know? That I was dependent on outside things to make me feel good. And but I had an experience with some women there that came in, and they bring meetings in and stuff, and that was really cool, man. I could share with this woman, she'd share back with me, and she had a couple of years, man, and she took me through the steps, and I'm so grateful for that. And she was so different from me. It was so weird to have somebody that was that different, you know, take me through the steps and still understand me and be able to guide me to something different. And so I did that, and I stayed sober for a while. And I actually ran into somebody that's still my mentor today, and I'm super grateful for her. She came out there and she told her story, man. And I knew her story because I had ran with her, and she's still real special to me, man. Nobody can tell me the truth because she knows, like, the truth. She was really there, and that's super cool. I'm glad that God allowed me to have that. By the way, if I haven't said that, I didn't need to find God there. When I got to treatment, I needed to reconnect, man. I've always had my own personal belief. I don't push it on anybody. I think the whole experience is finding what you believe, you know, and recovery is the coolest thing in the world, man. And I wouldn't rob anybody of that opportunity of whatever way that looks for them. I encourage anybody to seek whatever path, but to seek a path, man, and to be desperate for that path, you know, and know that it's changing your life, because you'll see the results. They'll start showing up in your behavior. I know that, man. Like I can't do the same things I used to do when I got here, even when I just first got sober this time, you know. But I did what I was taught to do. I started helping other women, and I know that that's the reason I'm still alive today. And y'all tell me when I'm getting, because yeah, okay. So anyway, got sober and got off the path, quit doing what was necessary for me to maintain my sobriety. And then it didn't take long, and I started believing all my own lies, man. And I was right back living the same way. And how that ended, that relapse, because it was actually a relapse, man. I'd really been a part of recovery and in recovery for a good 2 years, and I have really been involved and wanted to help other people too, which was a big change. And so I started getting back into meth again, and I ended up in a stolen car. And I lost because I'd had the ability to regain and get my teeth all fixed when I was sober the first time. And I'll tell you how fast you lose things when you go back, man. I ended up losing my teeth in a stolen car, which is how they identified me. And my shoes, not only my teeth, my shoes too, dude. And I was in a total blackout, man. There's no recollection of what actually happened in that hour or hours or whatever. And I ended up on Nancy Grace, man. She killed it too, dude. She read off what kind of douchebag I was, man. She went back through my whole criminal history, and she wasn't lying, man. I can't say today that she was lying. I was hurting people and I was doing wrong. And now here I am doing this. This is crazy to me, you know, because I didn't think I'd ever outlive that, right? I didn't think I'd ever outlive that. I mean, it's one thing to go to jail, be in the paper, all of that. That shit blows off. But when you go on national news, man, with your teeth out your mouth, there's not a lot coming back from that, you know? You really think you're done. I remember, though, like, I didn't get sober that time. I got sober about they dropped the charges for lack of evidence. She murdered me on Nancy Grace, and then they dropped the charges for lack of evidence, right? Because they could only identify me as a passenger in the vehicle, and that's what it was. Anyway, end of story. And so, man, I got arrested about a month or two later, and I was done. I can look at that mugshot. You can see it in my eyes, man, where I'm just done. And I remember I cried out to God, man. I begged him for help. And I knew I didn't know shit about recovery, you know, not about getting it back in my life, you know. And I was okay. This was the best plan I could come up with after that cry, was that we were going to prison, and that's okay, right? I'm gonna earn my stripes, you know. And I'm gonna get in one of those reentry programs, and they're gonna help get me a job, and that was my recovery plan, man. And I'm so glad God's seen something different, man. He's seen something different. I dealt with the stuff in Lake County. I went to Marion County. They gave me an easy sentence for the possession charges that I had over there. Really, I mean, they gave me 7 months. That was grace, dude. With all the dumb stuff I've done in my life, with no attorney or anything. I got lucky. I got this pro bono attorney. Just stuff happened for me right then that was not happening for me until I made that decision, man. Bad stuff was piling up on me, but when I begged and asked for help, stuff started happening that I just don't have anybody else to credit it to but God, because there was nobody else but God. I done ran everybody else off, you know. So and then I decided to do what actually I went to some recovery meetings in there. A woman come and got me, and she was willing to put me on her couch, man, to keep me safe and to keep me, you know, from being alone with this thing fresh out. And Nene, I'll forever be grateful for that, man. She definitely saved my life. So her and my mom were on the way to come and get me, and my mom got lost on the way, and I ended up in the car with Renee. And dude, the miracles that took place in those moments, like I hear girls tell me all the time, because I take this meeting out to a treatment center about, oh, you got years, that's so cool. But no, those miracle moments that happen right in the beginning are super priceless. Like, and there's some of the things, like there's been many great things that have happened to me since I got sober and stayed sober, but those miracle moments in the beginning are where I got to build and trust this faith in God that has been unshakable no matter what I've faced. And I've faced some pretty heavy shit too since I've been sober. And and I'm really grateful for those, right? I signed this receipt saying minus 17 cents. Like, so that's how I was starting out in the world, right? And I'm getting in the car with Renee. My mom misses me. I think that that's a bad thing, right? But my mom was pulling up with a bunch of narcotics, dude. Like, so, and I was fresh out with no probation. Like, God did for me what I could not do for myself, right? Renee was the first car there. She was there waiting on me, because people like us, when we get sober, a commitment really means something. She was there on time waiting, you know? And that saved my life that day, you know? There's been many moments like that. And then I went to the place that I had actually behaved, because when I was sober, I actually did behave, and I did the stuff I was supposed to do at I don't know if I'm supposed to say it, at Unity, right at the halfway house. I left there on good terms, man, because I left sober, and he had a bed immediately. Somebody had just got drunk and got kicked out. Like, I fucking had a bed, like I was straight, and it's just like stuff like that started happening, man. And since I've been sober, I'm gonna go ahead and I've been able to get my kids back, man. And I'd lost sole custody of one of my kids. Her father died of cancer, that sugar daddy that I married. He left me everything. And he wouldn't speak to me for a couple of years, like wouldn't let me on the property. He left me everything. He left me in trust of all of her things. And I was able to make some good decisions for his children that were before me, you know? And that's all because of my recovery, man. You couldn't have trusted me with $20 if you told me to go get something and come back. Like, but this dude could trust me with his will. Like, I made the last minute decisions in his life, man. And I'm forever grateful for that. I've had a miscarriage since I've been sober, and that happened to me around this time last year, and that was super trippy and super hard. One thing that happened was I was real honest about it, and I was real honest with my relationship with narcotics, because I have one. I have an extensive background with narcotics, you know, and I needed to be real honest with myself, man. Was this painful enough for me to? And it wasn't. I was experiencing so much emotional pain, man, that I couldn't put that shit in my body. And it was painful, and it was hard. And because I'm finally at a place in my life that it wouldn't be a bad thing if I had a kid, man. My partner's in recovery. He's a boss. He's a hard worker. We have a good relationship, man, and it would have been a great blessing. But one thing I do know is that I trust God, and that wasn't meant to happen, man. Because it didn't happen, you know. But I dealt with it, and I dealt with it without having to take some stuff. And the shit's been in my house too, because I've been taking care of my mom, you know. So like, it wasn't like far down the hall, you know. So those are miracle moments. There's so many miracle moments, man. My kids. I got. Not only am I raising my kids, I'm like raising two other kids. People trust me with their children, and like, you couldn't trust me with my children for a very long time. And I don't know if my ex-mother-in-law is on here, man. I've quit smoking. Like, I run a successful business. It's only been going for a couple of years, and it's fucking so crazy that I gotta refuse work, you know. There's just like, the cops hand me keys now, right? I called my mentor, and I know that one of them's on here, and I'm like, dude, I got a check from the cops and keys to their house left for me. And like, because they've heard my personal intimate story and all the details, right? It was just, it's like one of those moments that, oh my gosh. And then so it happened again, right? I got another one from the deputy. And I come home and I tell my partner, he's like, what is it with you and the cops? I'm like, I don't know. I guess God knows I need some healing, you know? Like, because that little 3-year-old that I shared about in the beginning, man, that held all those resentments, I'm starting to see them in a different light, man. And God knew I needed that. And he didn't give it to me till I was ready and I was mature enough and I'd given up enough of that lifestyle to be able to take a different view of it, you know? And damn, I've talked long enough and I hope I got it all out. So thanks.
No, you did perfect. You did perfect, Lindsey. That is a awesome story. I wish I had something cool like that. You know, it sounds stupid to say, but yeah, you know, we got to have a cool like change up of Nancy Grace. Come on, like that's pretty cool. I mean, you know, you can talk about it now. It's funny now, you know, but before it probably was horrible. But you know. I loved how you kept emphasizing miracle moments. I love that, like, because like this whole thing that we do, those miracle moments happen if we're, you know, in here, if we are aware and like can see them, man. Those are like, I call them, I mean, we call them spiritual awakenings. You know, when we see these things that happen in our lives, as we look back, we can see the things that like panned out in our lives as we kept walking and doing our thing, you know, doing this recovery life. And those are the things that like put us where we are today. And like Johnny's buddy always says, and I'm always going to repeat this, at the right moment, at the right time, at the right place, and exactly the way it was is where we are now. All those things had to line up. It all had to line
Steve.
up.
She knows Steve. That's who she was talking about.
Justin at the treatment.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's awesome. I love that dude. Like
he can be.
He's awesome. I haven't known him
sitting there in the client.
Yeah, we got some comments on here. I'm just gonna shoot out a couple real quick. I don't know if you know Corey, but he says, I'm grateful for everyone in the program. Johnny for showing me the way to, and my friend. Let's see, what else we got in here? We got Katie says, hell yeah, thank you for being here today. We got Teresa says, let's see. Oh, she has to leave early. Yes, we have it recorded. It's going to be on the Facebook. If you guys can't catch it now, can't catch the whole thing, it's on the Facebook. Just go to videos at our top little bar at the top of Facebook. They're all in there. You can watch whatever you want. Yeah, or YouTube or LinkedIn. We got Dustin that says, thank you so much, Lindsey. You're freaking rocked it. Let's see. We got Mary says, I love you, sister. Let's see. We got Sarah. She says, love you so damn much. And then Dustin says, I struggled to believe when I got clean, God made it absolutely impossible not to, with all the miracles he performed in my life. So,
that's right.
Helen says, great story. Thank you. And then we got Sherry says, love you, Lindsey. And I'm going to let Johnny and Lisa say a few things if they want.
Yeah, Lindsey, I freaking love you, girl. I never have heard your full entire story before. At least I don't remember if I did, if I was shot out or not. I don't remember. But you know, you said something early on about how that person, that old person's perspective, like it was acceptable through that person's perspective back then, you know, like your younger self, like it was cool to that person. So like, and that totally like hit home, like you, like it was okay to that person, it was cool back then, you know. So like in retrospect to today, like it's, yeah, you might talk about it and like, yeah, it seemed cool at the art, like we might like shed light on it, but like it's not okay, you know, like it, like that totally made sense to me. I don't know if how I said it like made sense, but like the way you explained that, I was like, I even wrote it down, like it was just like bam, because like back then that's exactly how our minds thought, like yeah, it's okay, you know. you know, we'll let this slide, or we'll let this go, or we'll let this get, or this, it's okay to happen to me, or we'll let, or whatever it might be. It's because we didn't know any better. And if we did, we didn't care because our addiction was just like forefront, you know? But thank you so much for sharing, man. I freaking love you. I love watching your life like grow. Your like inner soul is just so fucking beautiful, and I just can't get enough of you. And I can't wait to watch you and Billy get married. I cannot wait to watch to see what your life unfolds to. So, but thank you. Yes, I love you.
Thank you. I love you too.
So yeah, I was just sitting here thinking, and I'm like, while you were talking, and I'm like, who would have thought, right, that in 2012, when we were both living in a rap video, right, fast forward to 10 years, right, almost 10 years, and you guys have attended our wedding, watched us get married, watched us go on this journey together, and now here we are, a month later, we're going to be at your wedding, and like, I mean, a miracle is not even the word. There's no real words to describe the stuff that we get to experience today, all because we made a decision to do this thing. And it's just, it's so profound to me. And Justin, the thing was a reason, a season, or a lifetime. That was the thing that Steve said. And me and Lindsey got to hear that the very first time together because he put it on our group back 10 years ago. That's the magic, man.
When he was saying in his little, when he was sharing the story, he said it exactly how I said it, but it was like it made sense to me because it's so true. Like all these people that were lined up right in our beginning of our recovery, man, at the right moment, at the right time. Like if all that shit didn't happen, would we be here? You know what I mean? Like all those people were there for a reason, you know? And Johnny, exactly what you said. Medea says it too. Medea says it on the Medea, Tyler Perry is like, there's people coming to life for a season and people coming to life for a lifetime. Don't fuck up seasonal people, lifetime people. You know? I love that. But
yeah, I love you, Linz. I really do. And I'm grateful that you guys are in my life. And I mean, it's just the beginning for all of us, you know. That's the cool part.
I really believe that we've like barely scratched the surface, you know.
Correct. I believe that.
I really do.
Yeah.
Like, and yeah, it is, because no matter what it is, it's like there's something cooler coming, you know. Yeah, and I'm learning how to grow up and handle life, you know.
Yeah. It's crazy. Our friend Caesar, he always talks about, he says this thing. He says, I wake up in the morning and I put on my adult suit and it doesn't quite fit right, but I still show up. And that's us. I love that.
Me and Johnny joke around like, God, like this, so much adulting, but it's like doing this stuff. Like we get to do this stuff today, right? But like we still like are like, I don't want to, you know, like it's still there, you know, it's still there. But we get to do this shit and we get to figure it out. And it's like all these miracles and bonuses. And we wouldn't be able to get to do this if we didn't have this today. So
one thing that I used to hold on. One thing I used to hate when I first came in recovery, I'm like, I have to do this and I have to do that. And my sponsor hit me with the, you get to, bro. And I'm like, dude. And it used to piss me off because I'm like, he's so right. You know, you get to, bro. You get to have responsibility. You get to pay your bill. You get to do that. I'm like, all right, bro. And now it's like, it sometimes comes easy, but sometimes I still want to be that crying little bitch about what things I have to do. You know what I mean? Johnny knows. But you know, it's funny, Lindsey, you grew up kind of like I did. My mom, she always had pills on tap. You know what I mean? Like it was always on tap. She always got scripts her whole life. Like she'd hide the bottles from us because we were just those heathens that would just pounce on. And but she had them her whole life, you know, and she was the same way, you know, drinking and taking medication, and she'd overdo her medication, and she'd be just so like we grew up the same exact way. The drugs were just like all through the house. And I know what you're saying, Lisa, about glorifying. I think this is what you're saying about glorifying the experiences from before, but it wasn't all bad. ecstasy days were a blast. So, but it all led up to more and more and more until, like, you know, it's just insane, you know. So glorifying those experiences, I mean, it might sound like it, but those, I mean, it wasn't all bad at first, and then it got bad, you know. But thank you for being on here. Thank you for your willingness to come on here and share your story. I know everybody in our audience and on the Hope Shot appreciates you coming on here and sharing that. And that's it for tonight, guys. Catch us this Sunday, 8 p.m. We go live. We do topics. We talk about recovery, you know, what it looked like to us, man. And hopefully you guys join us this Sunday, 8 p.m. And if you guys are new to the page, we do this every Wednesday. We do Addictions to Success, and we share stories of what it's like, recovery journeys from active addiction. And then Sundays we do topics. So join us this Sunday, 8 p.m. Until then, see you guys. Love y'all. Good night.